Finger millet is a valuable source of food and income for thousands of families across Uganda. Millet is mainly grown in northern, eastern, and some parts of western Uganda, usually grown by the households on a small scale using hoes and pangas, and many communities have been traditionally broadcasting the seeds. The most indigenous types in East Africa include Gulu E, Engeny, Serere 1, and Seremi 2. The average grain yields of these varieties range from about 2,000 to 3,500 kilograms per hectare. The crop grows to about 1.25 meters and produces tillers. In our Farm Matters show, we take you to Ntungamo district to one of the demonstration farms where farmers, with the help of Sakawa Global 2000 in collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries (MAIF), is helping farmers yield high from millet. With guidance from the farm extension workers, the farmers are introduced to new farming practices of millet. Barugahari Kenneth Katwaza is an extension worker from MAIF. He narrates the different steps in growing and managing millet.
Traditionally, how we have been growing millet, we prepare our land in May to August. We prepare land twice, first plowing, second plowing. So after that, we burn the dry grass to prepare the garden. Then after that, you go when the rains start. The first rain is in August, September, first and second rains. We go and we broadcast our millet in a very prepared garden. We broadcast our millet 1 week to 1.5. Millet germinates. Then after that, we wait. We keep on monitoring. Then we weed once at 2 months, depending on the weeds that are in that very garden. In a broadcasted plot, it's not easy to weed. That's why we weed once, because you find the millet is very. When you broadcast the millet, you find the millet is very congested in the garden. So when you step on the millet, so it's not easy to weed the millet. Tradition and the other people could not grow millet because of it's tiresome, especially during weeding time. And traditionally, men are not used to weed millet because it's a work for ladies. They go there, they weed from morning up to evening. NGO called Sasakawa Global 2000, it came in, they trained us about growing millet and other crops. But on millet, they told us that millet can be grown in lines. We couldn't believe it because we have never seen such. We have never seen anyone growing millet in lines because we are used with our traditional methods of growing millet. But when they trained us, they put demonstration gardens in some fields. Then we could go there and learn how to plant millet in lines. So we tried it because they brought very many varieties, where there was Seremi 2, Seremi 1, and Pese 2 and Pese 1 in different demos. So they were trying to see which variety can do well compared to our local millet. Then when it came, they trained us on using fertilizers. At first, they trained us to use DAP at planting. Then we add urea at 45 days. That is 1.5 months of planting. Then they taught us when you were planting millet in lines, you use 1 feet, that is 30 centimeters between the lines. You get your peg. They taught us the pegs. You make a peg, you put a peg here, then in between here, you leave 1 feet. Then after that, that was a bit tiresome. They brought planting rakes, which are made. They are like rakes. In between, it's 1 feet. Then you hold it, you pour. When you are pouring, it leaves there some lines. So in those lines of 1 feet, and in the depth of at least 3 inches deep, then in those very ridges, you have put with a planting rake, you put fertilizer called DAP. At first we were using DAP, but right now we are using NPK brand. You put DAP in those lines, then or you put NPK in those lines, then you cover with little soil. You leave there the ridges. So when you put those fertilizers, you cover it with soil, so that the soil, the seed couldn't. It's not good to get contact into the fertilizer, because it burns the seed when it's germinating. Then after putting the millet, but before you put the millet, after putting the fertilizer, you get sand at a ratio of 3:5. That is sand, 3 cups of sand, 1 cup of millet, and another 1 cup of ash, wood ash. Then you mix them, that you can allow a spacing of at least 5 centimeters from seed to seed. Then you start drilling. You drill. You pour the millet, which is mixed with sand and ash. Then after that, you cover the garden. You level it, and you don't put there these clods, because they may cover the millet and it brings a poor germination. But you have to make sure that when you are using fertilizers, as we have been told, and how we are doing it, you must make sure that the soil is well moist, so that the fertilizer can dissolve so quickly.
Being major crop in Engeny region, this has helped to solve food insecurity and livelihood improvement. Sasakawa Global 2000 has continued to train farmers on interventions to improve food security, as Christine Chomugisa, the program's officer, elaborates.
This is a variety called the Seremi 2. It is an early maturing millet variety, and we promote it basically because of that. And it is also drought tolerant. Here we are in Katomi Parish in Rwongera Sub-County, and this is actually a demo for our women's group. This variety takes around 110 days, and as we see, these ones are about to harvest. What happened was, you see, as this is a sloping area, so as they had planted, of course some rains had to wash away some, because they had not ensured against, they had not put bands and ridges that should have held that water within. So that is how that one came about. But of course, these are also different plots, and they were planted relatively at different days. But of course, it's the same variety. Unlike the other last plot, where the farmer wanted to try out in their normal way, so there was no fertilizer put, it was broadcasted, and that's why you see it a bit stunted. Actually, at this moment, we do not even have to convince the farmers. They are already convinced. You had them talk by themselves. When you broadcast one, you're using too much seed. That is already an economic loss. Secondly, the millet becomes overpopulated. Then there is a risk of too much disease and nutrient deficiency, which is opposed to when you plant in lines. And of course, planting millet in lines is very easy. You just need to have a very good ratio. You mix 1 cup of millet with 3 cups of soil and 1 cup of ash to ensure that you release as little seed or grain as possible. So farmers are convinced, and in some areas we have also improvised them line markers that help them to ensure that planting in lines is not so complicated. But the farmers here now are already convinced that it should not be broadcasting anymore. By either way, currently here millet is selling much selling than maize, because a kilo of millet flour goes to 4,000. And how much is a kilo of maize flour? So that is already one. If you're buying millet grain, a kilo is around 2,000. How much is a kilo of maize grain? And of course, there are less production costs involved, of course, and many farmers are taking up millet. Of course, with these high yielding varieties, I'm convinced that farmers are going to take up millet growing here, not only for food security, but also for income generation. And it's highly selling. Of course, as Sasakawa Global 2000, we do the entire crop value chain. So we do not only end in the production, but also go ahead and promote proper harvesting and post-harvesting practices. So there are a number of technologies. There are those small equipment that can help actually in harvesting the millet cutters or reapers. But of course, after harvesting, we also encourage the farmers not to dry the millet on the ground. So we encourage them to dry on tarpaulins or improvise some kind of carpet where they can dry, such that our millet remains of good quality, and we also try to avoid issues of aflatoxin at that level. Farmers here have a problem of beating the millet, beating with sticks, but I can assure them that we now have a machine or an equipment. We call it a thresher. So you just need to cut your millet and place it in. It will just thresh out. You have your clean millet grains there, and then the sasara you leave the other side. So all those technologies are there available for the farmers.
Mazima tine chindu futina ahabo kwa tine chiru kunyeganyisa kuhinga. Ekyo kubanza buri hisho ni mpinga kandi na nebi byo kuhinga omuraini nakwenda kuhinga kandi kigaka kinyongeraho nyo kindu kuba ninchikundura unohinga kiche oyihamu kihango kukira empinga yito yabanya kwenkore yo kuhinga oburo bakabiba ababe bakahinga emisiri myingi nemwe kagwa yo batajombire bakashanga bareta amasharura make aha no hinga omusasaka no hinga omusiri muke guringanire ogubagara ombwire buke kandi kare mbwene okore minendije mirimo yawe eri yakubire mbwene yakubene itagisa omuka konka buriyo bwabanya kwenkuro buro bwo kubiba bakaba batakabasa kare to kurugayo ngoze kwinge bitakuroze kwinge bindi konka hate bino basa no kushubura abo ko musiri ningo bagare biro bibiri gwagura umuhango ecweka cha kare gwagura eka ningo bagare biro bibiri nzo mu bindi ningananye nduhuka.
Farmers they are adopting our technologies because they do well, and many farmers they are trying to practice our technologies. I normally told them because planting millet in lines, it is easier and it is cheap, and you put your millet seeds, little millet seeds, and in yield data you have high yield in almost in kgs.
Sasakawa 2000 has demonstrated a very good example in Ntungamo district. Like I said, it operated in Rahama sometime back when we had the first lady as a member of parliament there. They first came at her invitation, but wherever they have been, the results have come up and the output has been evident. I'm happy the food security, especially in the areas of food items, beans, maize, nuts, millet, the harvests have totally improved. You can be sure in a small piece of land like 1 acre, they get what they wouldn't have gotten when they still used their traditional way of cultivation. But with the input of Sasakawa, technology, fertilizer use and all that, they get enough for food and for sale. It has improved their household income. Yeah, I saw millet. It was actually growing in lines. It was all green. Its heads were big, and the seeds were forming, and they were actually indicating that the output, the harvest, will be far much better than those grown by our traditional citizens here who don't use the Sasakawa approach.
With the various trainings on millet growing from government and non-government organizations, millet yields have improved greatly.
My request to the committee is to adopt this technology of Sasakawa and replicate it elsewhere in their fields where they are working. They should use the same technology to use not only in millet but in other foodstuffs like in maize, in beans, in sorghum, name them. If they can use the same technology. In the past, we didn't use to use fertilizers in our agriculture. It was seen as if it is very expensive, as if people would not like to feed on food items produced with fertilizers. But I think that was a wrong thinking. I can see this new technology of Sasakawa is the way to go.
With continuous support from organizations like Sasakawa Global 2000 and the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, farmers in Uganda are embracing improved millet farming techniques. Through proper training and modern agricultural practices, millet yields have significantly increased, contributing to food security and household incomes. As more farmers adopt these innovations, finger millet remains a key crop in ensuring sustainable livelihoods and economic growth in the region.